Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're gonna be talking about the New World MMO. So this game came out like what, 3-4 days ago, and for the past 3-4 days I spent a lot of time playing this game to like 5-6 a.m. in the morning. As you can see, I'm pale and I look like a sick man, so obviously I can attribute all of that to New World. So in this video I'm going to talk about all of the good things, all of the bad things about the game, and if you should buy it, especially if you were looking for a new MMO to play. And honestly, not just MMO, but also a really solid RPG game. So let's get into it. So first things first, I already made like a first impressions video where I talk about like crafting and all of that, like fighting in the game. But overall, if you don't know already, it's the new game from Amazon Game Studios, and this is basically Amazon going into the video game industry properly this time. And the game actually, when it came out, a lot of people really liked it, but it has mixed reviews on Steam, and people are wondering, okay, should I really buy this? Should I avoid this game entirely at this point? Keep in mind, the biggest minus that people have about this game right now are queue times. They are insanely long. Like, there are people who had like 10,000 people waiting in queue, and you can attribute mostly that to the server capacity, which per server is 2,000 people, I believe, on the server right now. And keep in mind, like, Amazon just didn't release enough worlds for people to join, so obviously if you were trying to join during the day, during the peak hours, especially like now, we'll see what's gonna be happening during the weekend, you just couldn't join. Like, you had to wait for a very long time to play the game, and obviously if you paid 40 euros for a video game, you kinda expected to play it straight away, especially people who have jobs and, you know, other things to worry about. They don't want to sit around in a queue and wait for them to just play the game, or to then have them disconnect from the game only to go into it again and just reset their queue position entirely. So those things are a huge problem. Now, props where props are given. Amazon has been rolling out a lot of new servers, a lot of new worlds, and they're actually playing around to expand the server capacity itself. So like, for example, yesterday I didn't have that big of a queue on the EU servers as much as I had during the first or the second day, let's say. So that has been fixed a little bit, but it's still a lingering problem. But usually those are the problems with the management, because let's say Amazon Game Studios are requesting more money from Amazon, which is basically their boss in this situation, and usually like that money might be late, and at the same time, like if they ask for more server capacity, maybe like Amazon exec said like, let's wait for the game to come out first before we give you more server capacity. Now obviously once that happened and, you know, problems arose, they started giving out servers really fast. Now I know what people are gonna be saying, like, oh, you can never know, this is an MMO, of course launches are going to be rocky. Yes, I agree, I absolutely agree, but Amazon is a big company and they have all of the tools that monitor how many people buy the game, how many people are interested in the game. Trust me, all of those sales and marketing tools are something that companies use to a huge extent. You have to know the numbers of your product and how much is it going to sell, and how much, you know, are you going to actually profit from it, and at the same time can you actually support all of those people going into the game. So one of the positive things is that they have been adding servers like crazy. Like every single day they add something new, so those queue times are obviously like now lessening. But the problem is the character transfer is still not available. So if you switch the world to, let's say, a server which is low populated and you don't have to wait for a queue, you cannot transfer your character yet. So if you are like level 20 or something, obviously you're not gonna be starting again. You can, because the game just came out technically, but at the same time I wouldn't do it. Like, I wouldn't do it if I had a level 20 character and I had to like switch. So that's one of the biggest problems that this game has, obviously, from that queue and server time, and that's some of the biggest complaints people have. When it comes to the game itself, for me personally, this is a game I've been waiting for a very long time. Now, I know this might not be appealing for everyone, and I know that people have different, let's say, tastes when it comes to MMOs, when it comes to like what sort of MMO are they going to play. And honestly, I think New World scratches a huge itch when it comes to MMO gamers and when it comes to the MMO community, because I've been personally trying to get into a different MMO now that, you know, World of Warcraft is kind of, you know, I don't know, I just don't find it enjoyable anymore. And I've tried a lot of MMOs, new MMOs. I went back to some old MMOs I played. It just wasn't it. I just couldn't get into a single MMO, including Final Fantasy. Yes, I tried it. It's a great game, but I just couldn't get into it. And now this came out, and one of the biggest, how they say, biggest pluses when it comes to this game is just the amount of things you can do in it. There is always something to do, either from crafting or PvP, or doing, let's say, town missions, or you're doing just regular quests, or maybe you're doing quests for your faction or something like that. So there is always something to do in this game. And I think that's where New World is very successful, because it's incredibly satisfying to do these things, like especially going from crafting, going from gathering to then refining those materials, then crafting better items, then selling them, then just exploring and doing stuff. I think it's very addictive, and I don't know why it's addictive so much. It might be because of a bit of a grinder. I've been grinding in every single game I play, especially MMOs. I'm one of those guys that just levels up their professions to like maximum just so I could craft and sell stuff. So from that standpoint, all of the things you have in the game, they just take you in, and it's hard to explain without playing the game, but there is something so cozy and something so satisfying about New World that it just puts me in a really good place, and I just cannot stop playing the game. Now, obviously, does the game have bugs? Does it have issues? Does it have imbalancing? Does it have... Of course it has. This is far from being a perfect game. This is a very rocky launch, but at the same time, personally, I didn't have any game-breaking bugs where the game was actually disconnecting me, where I had to restart the game entirely. Obviously, I had issues, I had bugs in the game, but nothing to the crazy point. Like, for example, my UI sometimes glitches up, or let's say during combat something happens and I cannot hit an enemy or something like that. That has been happening from time to time, but again, nothing to the point where it's going to piss me off and when I'm just going to Alt F4 from the game and just either never play it or just wait for the updates. That hasn't occurred to me personally since I was playing the game, and in total right now I have about 50 hours if you include beta in it. Although keep in mind I was playing open beta, not closed beta, so obviously I had less time to play around with it. That's also when it comes to classes, that's also when it comes to the characters, because you don't really choose a class you play with, but you rather just take up a weapon and you level up the mastery and the skill of that weapon, and obviously you put different points in it. Now, when it comes to actual leveling in the game, it's slow. Like, it's gonna take you proper amount of time until you level up and you experience everything. You know, because when you combine it with the map itself is not that huge when you compare it to, let's say, MMO standards, but at the same time the game also doesn't have mounts, and I'm gonna be making a separate video around that, why I think it's very complicated to put mounts in a game like this. So like the map itself and the things you can do on that map are really well positioned in my opinion, and how you actually do those things and how you move from one place to another, especially how dynamic it is with the territory system and the faction system, because those territories are always going to be changing. There is always going to be an upcoming war somewhere, and you know, just people, you know, PvPing around into the world and trying to take one territory from another. So it's very dynamic in that sense, and the good thing about it is that there are actual repercussions for, let's say, if you lose a territory or something like that. So there is always something to work towards. There is always going to be something for someone, in my opinion. If you like more of that PvP segment, you're gonna be taking up missions from your factions, and you're gonna be going and taking territories, you're gonna be attacking people like out in the world. If you like more of that grindy type, you want to gather materials, you can you know, do that, disable PvP and just roam around, and you don't really have to care about anything. specifically, so you can just go and craft and do PvE and just do quests, and it's not going to be annoying. And one of the best things is that this is a game where I finally got the sense of the MMO. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like people are working together in this game all the time, no, but the game kind of naturally pushes you to do certain things together. Like, for example, you're out in the open and like you're doing a certain quest and you're gonna have more people coming to this area. Sometimes it can be annoying because they're gonna be killing your mobs or maybe looting something you should loot for your quest, and it's gonna take you longer periods of time. But sometimes it can be helpful because those guys are gonna be helping you, you know, fight those monsters. It's very natural in that way, especially when you, like, for example, get downed. Like when your health depletes, you can, if someone is close, they can, you know, revive you and they can basically lift you up so you can just continue playing the game. So obviously there is, you know, some interaction with other NPCs, and also the game forces interaction because of that, because of those territories and factions and how all of that is being done, and how players have to work together to upgrade their towns, to be able to craft certain things. I think that's a very interesting thing, and a lot of people have been comparing that to RuneScape, and in some forms you can maybe say that this is a spiritual successor to RuneScape in that sense, maybe in some forms, and I would agree. So people who kind of like those sort of games, I think they're gonna really like this game. And that's something I've noticed from a lot of people playing MMOs, from a lot of streamers, from just talking to people, is that there is something this game has that it just attracts you. It's strange, it's insane, it's crazy, I know, but there is definitely something which attracted me to this game. Now, is this game worth $40? Keep in mind, once you pay for the game, you don't have to pay for anything else, so there is no subscription like in World of Warcraft or anything else you have to buy yet. I'm sure when expansions start rolling out, those are gonna be on sale. And obviously when it comes to the store, they do have cosmetic items you can buy. Keep in mind, cosmetic items, so there isn't a single item right now in the store which is pay to win, which are like boosters, XPs and all of that. I think they said they're gonna be adding that like well into the future. I mean, if it happens months after the game came out and you have like a certain boost for people who are new to this game, then yeah, but you know, I don't know, it's just, if you like, for me personally, if you want to really learn the game, you have to experience it normally without any boost, because you're going to miss out on a lot of things. That was the problem in World of Warcraft. People boost and then comes the dungeoning and raiding and people don't know what to do, like, because they haven't been through that grind. But I understand that some people obviously have things to do and they don't want to worry about like leveling, etc, etc. So we'll see how that is gonna be done. Like, if I'm just gonna judge like my $40 that I spent on the things I have right now, I would say it's more than enough. Personally, for me, I think my $40 is well spent on this game, and I'm gonna be having at least 200 hours easy. You know, for people who don't play MMOs that much, you can get 200 hours easy from this game, but just doing quests and exploring and doing that sort of stuff without too much grind. So there is definitely value for your money. Now, when it comes to the performance of the game, as I've been playing it, obviously, like in towns, I've been getting lesser FPS, but outside, nothing that I was worried about. Same when it came to ping and all of that. There were ping issues. That can be a problem with PvP though, but PvP is extremely satisfying because this is action or skill-based combat. Like, you really like have a different encounter every time. Like when you're fighting with someone, every time there's gonna be something different. You don't know how someone plays and what weapon combination they're gonna be using and how they're gonna be attacking, just because you can, you know, have certain tactics on how you play and how you attack and everything. So from that standpoint, I think PvP is fun, PvP is enjoyable. When it comes to the story, honestly, it's nothing too special. Like, it's not a story that will blow you away and something I've been closely following. There is lore, obviously the background lore, and there is a lot of like notes and stuff you can find to learn about certain things, but you know, the story itself is okay. It's nothing too particularly interesting, but nothing like too boring, and at the same time it's not too tedious. At least personally, for my opinion, it's not too tedious when it comes to questing. Maybe some quests can be a little bit more innovative, They can sometimes be a little bit repetitive, but I think that's the curse of an MMO. Like, you just have to put so many quests. It's like, alright, I cannot have every single quest like be an Oscar-worthy story. Like, obviously something is gonna have that fetch quest elements in it. So yeah, from that perspective, I think that the launch of New World was extremely successful when it comes to the game. It wasn't successful when it comes to server capacity and all of that. Can this game improve afterwards? We shall see. Because right now, for me, the game is fun. But I don't know how fun is it going to be once I reach level 60. How fun is it going to be later? I don't know that. But honestly, because... my god, my neighbor is actually cutting down the tree. Anyway, I was finishing up. Anyway, so if I just count my 40 bucks right now for what I spent, I think it's okay. I think it's fun. Like, the fun that I got from this game for 40 bucks was definitely okay, and I think definitely worth it. But what's gonna be happening later on with updates, with expansions, I don't know. I cannot tell you that. That comes down to Amazon. But if they continue like this, they have an amazing MMO that they gave to the people, and something that can be really special in the future if updated correctly, and obviously if they work on it. But they've been working like crazy on the server capacity. They have been pumping out updates and news, and this is kind of a hopeful for the future. But we shall see. I cannot predict the future, and I don't know what this game is gonna be in the next 6 months, a year. But you also have to keep in mind, not every MMO is gonna be World of Warcraft. Not every MMO is gonna be spanning for 15 years. That's not gonna happen. Keep in mind, World of Warcraft is a cultural and social phenomenon of a video game. To follow up World of Warcraft, you have a lot of things to do, but at the same time, not every game is gonna be World of Warcraft. So I set my expectations low, and in this case, I was extremely positively surprised. I was surprised to the point where, like, if you asked me like a year ago, what do I think about New World and what do I think about everything, I would say, I don't know. Especially like having pre-order bonuses like emotes, you know, that's a big red flag for me. But like, the core game is fun, and would I recommend it? I cannot recommend it right now until server capacity is expanded. Now obviously, just a disclaimer, you have to be ready to wait if you buy this game right now. So I don't know, like, I cannot recommend it right now. When it comes to the game as an MMO, I would recommend it. Now keep in mind, New World is not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is not a totally different MMO experience. Like, this is not something I haven't had in different MMOs, but it puts a really nice coat of paint on it, and they play around well with ideas to the point where it just works and it looks nice, especially graphically wise. You don't really feel like you're playing that MMO. You don't have that classic MMO feeling of polygons around you and just squares around you and just low graphic fidelity. No, this feels a bit different, and it feels interesting, and I'm gonna be definitely playing this game for the future. But would I recommend it now? As a game, yes. As an MMO, yes. If you like these sort of grindy, you know, MMOs, if you really liked RuneScape, I think you're gonna like this. If you like Guild Wars, I think you're gonna like this. But the only thing I wouldn't recommend it now is because of those queue times. So you have to really think before you buy. So that's my opinion on it. Thank you so much for watching. I have to go now. I'm gonna be playing New World. I'm gonna be streaming this game as well, so subscribe for more and tell me down below, did you play it? Do you want to buy it? What are you planning? Tell me your opinion and everything you think about it. And also check us out on Twitter and Discord, where we continue our discussion. And also don't forget to join us there and, you know, just chat with us. If you have any questions, just ask me. I'll be here to answer you. And huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.